Could you talk about the plea change and how that may have affected the outcome of this case?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
What was the original plea and was that plea changed?
Oh, okay. I understand that there's some confusion about how our system generally works. In 99%, it's probably more like 99.9% of our criminal cases, initially at the first arraignment, a not guilty plea is entered. When we subsequently have change of pleas, they're called COPs in our system, COP for change of plea. The case moves forward at that point without having to go through a trial. COPs take place in about 95 to 96% of our cases. About 2% to 3% are going to trial now for a number of reasons. That's a much lower number than it used to be. So there's nothing significant about starting with the not guilty plea and ending up with a guilty plea. It's just the process requires that.
What went into the decision to charge Jeremiah solely in this case?
You know, I know it's inconvenient for you guys to partition this, but I think most of you are going to be here in any event this afternoon. And since you never know what's going to happen until it happens, I'd be more comfortable addressing that.
Have you offered him a plea agreement?
Let's just address that later this afternoon. I know it's going to cost us several precious hours, but we'll all be able to deal with that, I think.
Okay. Alex, obviously there's the letter from the victim's attorney. Have you spoken to her following this?
Our assigned attorney has spoken to them, both.
How was the victim?
I haven't spoken to either the attorney or her since the sentencing. This was done in advance, and her views are reflected in that letter.
Was she in the courtroom today? The victim? Yes. She was?
And I didn't see her, so I was told that she originally hadn't intended to be there, but so apparently she changed her mind.
You said LaMichael's low risk. Can you expand on why?
From very early on in this case, it was clear that he was prepared to accept responsibility for what he did. And I think probably in anticipation of this, he was anxious and proceeding with caution and looking to his lawyer for advice. But for us, for those of us in the law enforcement community, it is very significant when somebody is compliant immediately and says, look, I screwed up, but I didn't do all these things. It's not as bad as it sounded, and I was trying to do these things right, but yes, I screwed up. As opposed to the recalcitrant, angry, persistent denial, where there's continuing overt threats and that kind of thing. Mr. James is in the former category, and so as a group, those people, particularly those people who have no prior criminal involvement and a good support system and a lot at stake, they tend to be a very low risk.
Mr. Gardner, I think a lot of people would hear that, there's no jail time, more than likely no jail time that he's serving, and these are domestic violence charges, strangulation charges. Why isn't there time behind jail right now?
I understand that people would feel that way. They would be mostly people unfamiliar with Lane County. That has more to do with our system deficits, which are extraordinary, than this case in particular. So, for example, when there was a recent, maybe not so recent anymore, case down in California where a celebrity served only 2 days on a DUI charge, and there was tremendous community interest, and people thought that celebrity was getting a heck of a deal, and I thought, in Lane County, nobody on a first DUI charge is going to serve more than 2 days in jail. The local folks know this, but here's how it shakes out. In the United States, the average number of jail beds per 1,000 reported criminal offenses is 69. That's at the local level. I'm not talking prison, just local jail. In Oregon, the average number of jail beds is 67. In Lane County, prior to the restoration of a small amount of capacity last spring, we were at 8.5. Roughly a quarter of Oregon's average and substantially below that in comparison to the national average. That means all kinds of people who commit much more serious offenses do next to no jail time in Lane County. So we have to take advantage of alternatives, road crew, work release status, day reporting status, bracelet restrictions, that sort of thing. There just simply isn't any capacity in the system. And again, I have to underscore this is a significant case. Any case in which there is even a threat of violence, particularly in a domestic violence context, is very serious, and we take it very seriously. But on the scale of charges that we deal with on a regular basis, this is comparatively minor stuff. I mean, today we had, a number of women come in beaten up. They're in our restraining order clinic trying to get assistance. I mean, people who are injured. We get between 130 and 170 new criminal cases every week. So there are many cases that are more needing of jail time than this one.
And what are some of the ways that you might serve that sentence of 10 years in jail?
Again, that's up to the sheriff, but it could be on the road crew. It could be in some kind of a work release status if he has a job lined up. There could be community service requirements. For example, there's a new courthouse garden project that's underway now, and community service people are being directed over there so they can help prepare the land for sort of a community garden. There's no shortage of community work that needs to be done, and actually he's a very healthy, strong young guy, and putting him on the other end of the shovel for a while that benefits the community might be a good thing.
Alex, he said 2 nights in jail, is that correct?
I think that's right.
And if he's getting put up for 10 servings, he'll have 8 days?
He'd have 8 days left, but those calculations are up to the sheriff's office.
It's unclear from the sentencing.
No, I'm not talking to you, Jack.
All right.
No, go
It
ahead.
says the memorandum in James' statement, but I want to be real clear on this. At the time of this incident, were these two in a, were they current girlfriend and boyfriend?
I'm afraid I can't, not that I wouldn't like to be able to clarify that, I can't clarify that. I'm sure you can imagine that there are times in many romantic relationships during which one person might feel that they are completely committed and the other one might disagree. So at any instant in time, it might, if you polled the two of them, you might get disagreement on that. And I think a lot of effort went into crafting the language of those statements, and I won't try to improve upon it, because I would certainly get in trouble. Sure.
Will we meet here again this afternoon?
Yes. Did anybody not get these? Who needs these? Let me run another copy. I'll be on time this afternoon, guys. Sure.